Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we will continue following the challenging yet sweet journey of the single mother, Ly Hoai Ca and Hùng. In the previous episode, after so many ups and downs, Hoai Ca bravely returned to her familiar home, a place filled with memories of both joy and sorrow. It was Hùng who quietly brought her back, even though he himself was weighed down by debt. To repay his mother's debt, Hùng was forced to sell the house that had sheltered him for years, and now he is temporarily living at a friend's place. In such an uncertain situation, Hoai Ca spoke up, hoping Hùng could come live with her and her child. That was not only about sharing a home, but also about sharing love, responsibility, and the future. And so, the three of them, Hùng, Hoai Ca, and little Tony, truly began a new life together, under the same small roof. In the early days, happiness seemed so simple. The laughter of a child, warm family meals, and the quiet yet trusting glances they exchanged. But behind that lay unavoidable challenges. Both had to learn how to adapt to living together, how to face the burden of debt side by side, and how to accept their differences in order to keep this home warm and loving. Will love and compassion be strong enough to help them overcome it all? What will the next steps in their journey be? Let's watch today's episode to fully experience the joy, worries, and hopes they are building together. After having an honest conversation with Hùng about moving back to her familiar home, Hoai Ca came to bid farewell to Ha and her mother. At that moment, the atmosphere in the house grew strangely quiet. Ha's mother held tightly onto Hoai Ca's hand, her eyes heavy with sorrow, reluctant to let go. As for Ha, usually so stoic and rarely showing his emotions, he stood in silence for a long while, his eyes filled with a sense of loss that words could not express. From the day Hoai Ca appeared, Ha's home had completely changed. He had become a better man, someone who cared more for others, no longer irritable or withdrawn as before. The presence of Hoai Ca and little Tony was like a fresh breeze, bringing laughter, bringing warmth that had been missing for so many years. Especially Tony, the innocent laughter of the boy filled the whole house with joy, sweeping away all the weariness. Now, as Hoai Ca and her son returned to the place that truly belonged to her, Ha's home suddenly sank back into silence. The kitchen no longer echoed with lively conversations, the evenings no longer carried on with late-night stories, and the corner of the house was missing the cheerful laughter of a child. Both Ha and his mother deeply felt that emptiness, a void difficult to put into words. Yet deep down, they knew that Hoai Ca's decision to return home was the right one. For that was where her true haven lay, the place where she and Hùng would begin a new journey. Though there was regret in their hearts, they chose to smile as they saw her off, wishing that happiness would always accompany the three of them under their new roof. Returning to her old home after so many hardships, Hoai Ca spent the entire morning cleaning. Layers of dust left by time clung to the tables and chairs, the faded curtains worn by sun and rain, all carefully wiped away by her hands. Gradually, the small house revealed its familiar warmth, no longer as desolate as before. Once everything was in order, Hoai Ca took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of her cherished home, her eyes gleaming with the belief that a new life was truly beginning. The next day, she returned to her daily work, harvesting custard apples on the hillside. Under the cool mountain breeze, the trees spread their broad canopies, laden with heavy, green fruits veined with ivory streaks. Hoai Ca reached out to pick them, each fruit plump and bursting as though it had absorbed all the abundance of the land and sky. Thanks to the year-round cool climate and mountain rains, the custard apples here carried a unique flavor, richly sweet, long-lasting in fragrance, with thick, juicy flesh. At the early morning market, Hoai Ca laid baskets of fresh custard apples neatly on her stall. Their gentle aroma drifted through the air, drawing curious glances. Passers-by stopped, sampling the fruit and nodding in approval with satisfied smiles. In no time, the full baskets dwindled, customers left delighted, and Hoai Ca breathed a sigh of relief. A rare smile appeared on her lips, a smile of reassurance, knowing that her small efforts had been rewarded with genuine support. That day, she returned home with an empty basket and a light heart. Though countless challenges still lay ahead, at the very least, she had found again the rhythm of a simple life, a life she was building with her own two hands. After tidying up the house a little, Hoai Ca sat down on the doorstep, taking a deep breath as she looked at the old courtyard, now somewhat cleaner. At that very moment, Hùng appeared. He stood silently at the porch for a while, as if weighing each step, before finally walking in. The two sat facing each other in the small room. The afternoon light streamed through the window, casting onto Hung's face, highlighting the deep lines of exhaustion around his eyes. For a long moment, he hesitated, then finally spoke. "Ca, I'm afraid, if I move in here, the debt collectors will come looking, and they'll bother you and Tony. Besides, my friend is still away working. I wanted to stay there until he returns, so I can thank him before leaving." But before he could finish, Hoai Ca shook her head gently. Her voice was firm yet filled with tenderness. "Hùng, don't think too much. Right now, Tony and we only have you to rely on. And you, other than your mother, who has already passed, you don't have anyone else either. If you keep living at your friend's place, it's inconvenient and uneasy for you. As for those debt collectors, whether you stay here or not, they'll still come if they want to. But if you're with me, at least Tony and I will have someone to lean on, someone to protect us." Tears welled up in Hoai Ca's eyes. She reached out and clasped Hung's rough hand, holding it tight as though passing her faith into him. Her voice trembled, but it was full of yearning. "Hùng, after all these years apart, I finally realize how deeply I've loved you. I've missed you so much that every night I prayed for you to come back. I want us to be together like a real family, like husband and wife. Please don't make Tony and me wait any longer, okay?" The room fell silent for a few seconds, with only the sound of the wind passing through the window. In that moment, Hùng gazed into Hoai Ca's eyes, where unwavering faith and fierce love shone brightly. He said nothing, just tightened his grip on her hand, like a quiet promise. Hearing Hoai Ca's heartfelt words, Hùng sat in silence, his heart overwhelmed with emotion. He held her hand tightly, his voice choked. "Ca, I'm sorry. I love you so much, but I can't even give you a proper wedding. I want to marry you honorably, for everyone to acknowledge us, so you won't have to feel deprived. But my situation is too difficult now. The debts are still there, and I'm afraid I'll only make you suffer." At those words, he lowered his head, his broad shoulders trembling slightly. In his eyes shone helplessness and regret. He had always wanted to protect Hoai Ca, but hardship made him feel unworthy. Before he could say more, Hoai Ca gently pressed her finger to his lips. Her gaze was firm, yet filled with love. "Hùng, I don't need a lavish wedding, nor do I need a title right now. What I need is you, having the man I love by my side. We'll face these hard days together, and when life becomes stable, we'll walk into the wedding hall. By then, happiness will mean even more." Those simple yet sincere words moved Hung's heart even more deeply. He gripped her small hand tighter, his eyes now burning with renewed faith. In that moment, he understood that this love needed no grand gestures, only unity and sharing. "All right, Ca. I'll listen to you. I'll head back to my friend's place, pack up a few things. Tonight, I'll return here to live with you and Tony. Oh, and I'll pick Tony up from school on the way. From today, I'll officially be home with the two of you. With that, Hung stood up, his eyes filled with determination. Hoai Ca watched his figure as he left, her heart overflowing with indescribable joy. At last, after all the separation and trials, she could believe that her little home would finally be complete, with him by her side. As soon as Hung left, Hoai Ca felt a surge of indescribable joy. It had been so long since her heart felt this light, happy in the knowledge that the man she loved was finally coming home to stay, to share a life together. She busied herself once more with tidying the house, carefully cleaning every corner, as though she wanted it to be spotless in welcoming Hung's return. Then she went into the kitchen, thoughtfully preparing the dishes he loved most. Every slice of meat, every plate of greens, every bowl of soup was seasoned with care, made to taste just right. The aroma spread throughout the little kitchen, filling her with anticipation and excitement. By the time the sun set, Hung arrived, holding Tony's hand. The boy ran eagerly into the yard and threw his arms around his mother, his eyes sparkling with delight. Following behind, Hung's gaze fell upon the neatly arranged dinner table, and a warmth rose in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known for a long time. The three of them sat together around the simple meal, overflowing with love. Laughter and conversation mingled with the clinking of bowls and chopsticks, creating an atmosphere of true family warmth. As Hoai Ca gently placed food into Hung's bowl, her voice trembled with happiness. It's been so long since I felt this kind of peace, sharing a meal with you by my side. It reminds me of the early days when we first fell in love. No matter the hardships we've faced, I still feel so blessed that we can sit here together now. Hearing this, Hung's eyes glistened with emotion. He set his chopsticks down and took her hand, the hand that had endured so much for him. His voice was deep and tender. Ca, I hope that from now on, meals like this won't be so rare. We'll work hard together, overcome everything. And one day, I'll give you the wedding you truly deserve. Hoai Ca smiled, her eyes brimming with tears, but glowing with faith. Their hands tightened around each other, while Tony, innocent and carefree, looked up and giggled as though he understood the happiness filling the room. In that moment, the three of them had truly become a family. A family not yet complete in wealth or possessions, but one overflowing with love and with hope for the future. During that warm dinner, as Tony chirped away about stories from school, Hoai Ca suddenly paused. A wave of longing rose in her heart. She thought of Ha and his mother, the ones who had sheltered and protected her and Tony through the hardest times. Now, with their house void of a child's laughter, she knew both Ha and his mother must be feeling the emptiness. Turning gently to Hung, she said softly, Hung, I think Ha and his mother must be lonely now. With Tony and me gone, their home must have fallen silent again. I want to invite them here for a meal, to thank them for the kindness they showed me and my son during those difficult days. Would that be all right? Hung nodded immediately, his eyes filled with agreement. He knew well that Hoai Ca was a woman of deep feelings, someone who valued gratitude. More than that, he too respected Ha and his mother. Especially Ha, a man rough around the edges yet sincere, who had helped him more than once when times were hard. Yes, I feel the same. We need to thank them properly. Besides, I've been thinking of finding Ha a lighter job. Seeing him work himself to exhaustion all the time, it pains me. If he had a stable, less demanding job, I'm sure life would be easier for him. Hearing those words, Hoai Ca smiled, happiness swelling within her. She knew Hung cared not only for their little family, but also for those who had once helped them. And that was why she felt more certain than ever that choosing him was the right decision. The next evening, Hoai Ca's small house was filled with laughter. Ha and his mother came, bringing with them a few simple gifts from the countryside. On the dinner table were familiar dishes prepared by Hoai Ca herself, along with the fragrant homemade wine Hung poured into their cups. They ate and talked, the atmosphere warm and harmonious, as though they were all part of one big family. Under the flickering glow of the oil lamp, Tony's clear laughter rang out, blending with the warm voices of the adults. In that moment, the sorrows and emptiness each had carried seemed to be filled by sharing, by gratitude, and by the bond of genuine affection. Hoai Ca and Hung had finally found simple happiness together, yet many storms still lay ahead. The enormous debt continued to weigh heavily on Hung's shoulders, and since he had left the police force, he no longer had a stable job to secure their future. Their family meals were warm, but behind them lingered the quiet worry of tomorrow. Will love be strong enough to help them overcome the burden of finances? Will these hardships make their bond even stronger, or will they become trials that threaten to shake them apart? The answers remain uncertain, lying in the days to come. Stay tuned for the next episodes to witness their journey, not only filled with tears and struggles, but also with faith, resilience, and love. Don't miss it.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Thì hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến mọi người câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng nhé mọi người. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca đã trải qua rất là nhiều khó khăn, thì bây giờ mới được an toàn, và cô trong video hôm nay thì cô bắt đầu trở về căn nhà thân quen của mình để sinh sống. Và có một điều bất ngờ hơn nữa là trong thời gian này thì Hùng sẽ đến và ở cùng cô. Hai người bắt đầu cùng chung sống với nhau dưới một mái nhà. Lý do là nhà của Hùng thì đã bị bán đi để trả nợ cho mẹ, và anh hiện tại thì cũng đang gặp rất là nhiều khó khăn về kinh tế khi nhà cửa đều đã mất cả, và ngoài ra còn gánh trên lưng đống nợ khổng lồ. Và anh còn bị hiện tại là anh đang tạm thời nghỉ việc ở cơ quan và tạm thời không làm cảnh sát do anh bị điều chuyển công tác, nhưng mà anh đã xin nghỉ. Vậy thì mọi chuyện tiếp theo sẽ như thế nào? Liệu hai người có thể vượt qua khó khăn về kinh tế này không? Hãy cùng đón xem video tiếp theo mọi người nhé.